going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the Sav Show. My name is Savilian, and today I'm just bringing you a little bit of a mixed bag, bringing you a little bit of an update. So it's been a little minute since I've been in front of the camera here, been on this mic, and I'm kind of nervous, to be honest. So I've had a couple of weeks off, had a few things going on, a few health issues, a bit of work stuff, and I mean, to mix into all of that, been a little bit lazy and a little bit directionless, to boot. So it's been a fun little adventure recently. I'm basically, at the beginning of the year, I kind of let everyone know that I'd be moving back to my hometown to do a job, to basically spend some time with my family, get a few tasks done, and that I would be back down to Melbourne in a jiffy. And, I can finally say that time is almost here. So I don't know an exact date, but basically by the end of August / beginning of September, I will be moving back down to Melbourne and, just resuming kind of all the journeys and ventures that I had going on down there. I've really enjoyed my time here. I'll cover this in more detail at a later date, but basically, bottom line, Melbourne coming back very, very, very soon, and super excited. In terms of just the last couple of weeks, man, it's been hectic, / normal. Life is normal. My health has been not great, especially last week. I basically got the sickest I have ever been. It was really wild. Like, I was basically in bed for 4 days straight. Couldn't keep anything down. The hot and cold shakes, no sleep for basically 4 days. Wasn't able to go to the gym, wasn't able to exercise, wasn't able to really, eat anything. And I just felt so weak and malnourished and hopeless, helpless. It was a really scary couple of days and just a really shitty feeling because, so much of my identity recently has been tied up in the fact that I love exercising. I love training martial arts. I love getting out and, going for walks and, hitting the heavy bag and shadow boxing and all that kind of stuff and just going to the gym. And man, not having that is when you don't have that, when you can't do that, it's tough. It's really tough. And it really made me grateful for, just being able to be healthy the majority of the time. And just living in a country where, it's a given that you are, more often going to be healthy than not. Very, very blessed to live here and to have this life that I have and, to be healthy for the majority of the time. And it made me realize like just how, and I continue to keep realizing this, but, or keep being grateful for it is how good exercise is, for your mental health, for your physical health. It is just so important. And, getting back into the gym after a few days out and just being able to lift weights and sweat and get your heart rate up is just the best thing. And honestly left me feeling so euphoric when I was able to get out of there and really, miles away from where I had been, only days earlier. Grateful as always. Health, it just can't be understated how much it means to be healthy. Like you can have all the dreams and all the aspirations and all the thoughts in the world, and you can have all the, goals and ideas, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to make, this much money, blah, blah, blah. But if you're not healthy, man, fuck it. None of it means shit. If you can't get up out of bed, it's very, 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 very limiting and, taxing on your mental health. So, I was able to get up out of bed, enjoyed some exercise over the last couple of days and, almost 100% back to normal. Still don't feel all the way there, but I feel pretty good. So, Anyway, that's a little bit of an update on what's been happening recently. And just in terms of content, like I guess I've kind of lacked a little bit of direction. I've kind of been going around in a little bit of like an analysis paralysis kind of circle. Should I do this? Should I do that? Should I double down here? Should I do more of this? And it's been getting me away from what has served me the best over the last couple of years, and that is to just make stuff, and I just got to remind myself, when you're feeling trapped, when you're feeling like there's nowhere to go, the only way out is through. And when you're feeling lost, just pick something, do the work, build momentum, and then in a minute you'll be back on your bullshit. So that's kind of where I'm at right now, just kind of like paralyzing myself a little bit, thinking too much. In a podcast I saw yesterday with Chris Williamson and a lady by the name of Cody, I can't remember the last name, but finance kind of coach person. She talked about her and her team having a bias towards speed, and how she referenced what's his name, Perkins, can't remember his first name, but she referenced this guy who basically he said the reason I'm so successful is because I move quickly. While other people are making their analysis, I've already failed 3 times and figured out the best way. David Perkins, maybe. Anyway, I think that's a excellent way to think about things. And when I look at, what's been happening with me over the last couple of weeks, it's definitely that analysis paralysis, and just not making a decision and needing to realize that, no decision is going to be perfect. I'm not going to get it right. This won't be the be all and end all. I just need to make a decision, because while I'm making that decision and doing the thing, I'm figuring out what the right way or the correct way might be. So I'm getting information. So yeah, there's a little bit of that going on. So I need to just, pull the trigger essentially. Yeah, anyway, I'm going to dive into just a rapid fire bunch of things that have been happening, things that are, coming up, things that I'm thinking about, because these are all been swirling around my head over the last couple of weeks as, I've had a bit of a break. Oh, clean that off my shirt. Sorry about that. As I've had a bit of a break from the podcast. So I'm just going to dive in. So first thing on the agenda is, Raygun. We all seen the infamous kind of dance routine, all the memes that have come from it, viral sensation kind of moment, and very, very polarizing, a lot of different takes, a lot of different thoughts on it. I'm going to kind of lay out a couple of mine, and, there's still a lot to be addressed. At this stage, it's, 3 or 4 days on. I don't think I've seen her talk publicly about it either, through her Instagram or through any kind of other media channels. So it's really hard to know what actually went on. There are, I've seen lots of conspiracies floating around on X and on YouTube. I'm seeing lots of kind of, different takes. Now, I'm going to start with this. My first thought when I saw it, okay, it's funny. It's a bit silly. It's a bit outlandish. But, there are certain parts of what she was doing that were skillful. Yeah, there were, some moves that were a bit outlandish, and, you were like, is she taking the fucking piss or what? What's going on here? But, she's up there, she's dancing, she's moving. There is some athleticism to what she's doing. There is some skill to what she's doing. Was it at the, standard of the rest of the competition? Clearly not. But, she's there, she's doing a thing. When you start to kind of peel back some of the layers, you start to realize a bunch of things, and you start to see all the different angles and all the different ways that this moment can be taken and learned and kind of understood by so many different people. Now, I got up on X and I kind of shared a couple of quick take ideas and thoughts on how I kind of saw this moment, and I'm just going to share them with you now. Now, first of all, she seems to be a decent, bubbly energy, and so I'm a fan of the person, but not what she represented Australia for, in terms of not the way that she represented, breakdancing for Australia. From what I've seen so far, she appeared to be our most qualified B-girl, but clearly not the most skilled. What I mean by that is, like, she went through the different kind of phases to qualify for the Olympics. So she's, in that sense, she's our most qualified. And she seemed to be like the, number one B-girl in Oceania, according to some rankings or whatever. So she did it. It seemed to happen through the right channels, but does that mean she's the most skilled person? It's like, in terms of, this might be a horrible analogy, but like in terms of the soccer, because it's like under 23s or something like that, you're not really getting the best in the world playing at the Olympics. Same with, might be with the golf is kind of similar. You're not always getting the best people playing and doing everything. So, was she the best B-girl that Australia could have thrown up? I don't know. Maybe, but without an in-depth knowledge of breaking in Australia, it's really hard to know. I would surmise no. I would surmise that there would be a lot of young breakdancers that would be way more athletic, way more capable. And even, her, like I went and watched some of her Instagram videos of her breakdancing in different qualifiers previous to the Olympics, and she seemed to be more skillful in them. So it kind of begs a question, like, was the performance, like an art piece or like people, I've seen people kind of like speculating there was a protest. There was a protest piece that it was meant to encapsulate, the artistry and the Australian kind of like way. There's lots of different takes out there, but it just was not the most skillful for the actual competition. And that is where the questions are going to come up inevitably. So the outfit was just meh. It was like, she dressed like her age, unfortunately, like, mid-30s kind of, and she's a professor. She's coming out there and breakdancing looking like that. It's just so not hip-hop. Like, it is, like, it's almost like ironically hip-hop, and everyone else is like kind of, everything's like nice and baggy. The do-rags are on. And yeah, I think the outfit just kind of, set the wrong tone. And then to go along with, and this is the thing, I'm going to preface with this. If all of this was unintentional, then, it's open for critique from the point of view of like, it just wasn't good. But if it was intentional, if all of this was intentional to kind of like make a joke of, or make a protest kind of this particular moment, then it's a different debate. It's a different critique that needs to be kind of put forward. So yeah, what I would say, and even with all that said, I would say that she did put on a fairly iconic display. It was not the most skillful, but it had a lot of pizzazz, and it rightfully earned 0 points. So yeah, what I mean by that is, it definitely wasn't the most skillful, but the entire world is talking about this moment, it was very iconic. Now, was it iconic for the right reasons? Probably not. Will it go down in history as like one of the strangest moments in Olympic sport? It kinda, but it was iconic, and you can't, and there's a certain part of me as an Australian that's like, that's kind of what I'm used to and what we kind of do. We kind of like take the piss a little bit, and we kind of like to have a laugh. Larrikinism in this country is, one of the highest on the planet. And, doing something super goofy like that for a lol is, I would expect someone like me to do it. And I know a lot of people in, probably not similar levels of professionalism to do that. But, there's a part of me that's like, look at her just fucking taking the piss. And, it's kind of funny. Because at the end of the day, it's not that serious. And this is what I go on to say down here. People saying that it's an embarrassment, I think are a little bit silly. Like I saw people saying like, this is an embarrassment to Australia. I'm kind of like, let's take a step back. It's a dance off in a showcase event at our most successful Olympics ever. Now, you can put a spotlight on this if you really want to. You can blow it out of proportion and make it this like big, revealing woke moment. But at the end of the day, like, it ain't that big, homie, in my opinion. Okay. and it kind of like overshadows the fact that, yes, this was our most successful Olympics ever. So let's fucking just, let's just focus on that a little bit. Do the inquiry that needs to happen. But, anyway, I believe that it has brought out the worst in tall poppy syndrome in Australia, the trolls, the keyboard warriors. That, there was a lot of hate and backlash. And I think the performance deserves to be critiqued for sure. Like, you can't get up on a world stage, break dance looking like that and not expect some critique. But the bullying and the kind of outright like misogyny and kind of like woke attacks is, I think that's a little uncalled for, but also expected. It's like, people say these things about like, oh, you shouldn't be going after people. This is the internet. Unfortunately, this is the internet. It is going to happen. People are going to get berated. People are going to get critiqued. I don't condone a lot of it. Like, I'm a lover, not a fighter, not a hater. I ain't got bad shit to say about nobody, but you kind of got to expect it when you enter this domain. This is the world we live in. I also believe that it has brought out the best in larrikinism. You saw the Inspired Unemployed dropping that, when the pimp's in the crib, ma, jumping in the pimp's trying to get a chip, break dancing as they walk down the street with her. That's a cool moment. That's funny. Those guys are, a good representation of Australian larrikinism and just kind of like, having a laugh without, putting people out and putting people down, which I think, there is an angle to what she did that you could see it looking like that. This is where it gets kind of controversial though, and I've seen a lot of people talking to this point. And I say, yeah, I would have loved to have seen a young, like a 16, 17, 18, someone young, athletic, like really fit, who can like really kind of like hit some of these moves. And, you saw a lot of the dancers that they were young. They were like 18, 19. Yeah, it's like, it's meant to be a young person's, not only a young person's kind of sport, but it's meant to be a young person's sport because the athleticism required to pull off these moves is just like so hectic. So yeah, I would have loved to have seen a young Indigenous or POC B-girl representing Australia, right? I would have loved to have seen a young Indigenous girl because I know there would be hundreds of them across this country that would be hectically skilled and capable of stepping on that stage and representing Australia, with like insane skills and acrobatics, right? So I've seen a lot of people with that take as well, kind of, mentioning, probably not the best representation of our sport and who missed out on a spot for that, and then kind of bringing into question some of those things. So, which I think is, there is some validity to that, depending on the criteria, the selection process, right? Now, if you think about, Australia and our and Olympic spirit as a separate criteria, I do believe that she represented that well in terms of being a good spirit, good energy. Although I didn't like the yawn she did while the other contestant was breaking. That was a bit cringe, a bit lame. I don't know if it was intentional. It looked like a bit of a fake yawn, like, oh, that's all you got kind of thing. If that was the case, then I ain't fucking with that. That ain't a vibe. Especially when you look like you're about to go play some golf. Or you know what she looked like? She's about to go play some indoor cricket. You ever watch people play indoor cricket? That's exactly what they look like. So that ain't a good start. Especially when you talk about like B-boy, B-girl, breaking, like hip hop culture is meant to be like the fashion. It's a fashion center of all of the world. Like if you look at fashion in the world right now, it starts from hip hop. It starts from, dance, breaking, dancers, breakers. They've always just had they've always been ahead of the curve when it comes to fashion. And style and flair and that was just not it. So yeah, final thoughts. I would love to hear her on a podcast. If she ever kind of is able to come out and speak about it openly and really go into detail. And, I just want to hear her thoughts and, just hear her break it down. Like, why did you choose that? What was the process? I think it's worth exploring, and I really hope that she is given that opportunity, because I think it would be great for everybody, a great learning moment to explore, her thoughts and kind of the whole process and really breaking it down. If she was our best option, okay, if she went through all the criteria and she was our best option, she was selected, fairly, and she went out there and that was literally her best attempt to breakdance representing her country at the 2024 Paris Olympic Games, then so be it, right? We all just got to live with that. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. It'll just go down as a kind of like weird, iconic moment. If she was not our best option, or she went out to make a protest, or she went out there to intentionally kind of like, make a joke of her moment, then there deserves to be answers. There need to be answers. I'm happy either way. If she genuinely got picked, she genuinely went out there, she genuinely did her best, and that's what she came up with, then that's all good. Let it ride. We'll all be able to giggle about that for years to come, and we should. But if she was not our best, she was picked kind of in a kind of strange way, or her actual dance was some kind of protest or moment where she was trying to like make a point of something or express anything other than the desire to win, right? If she was trying to like make a point or tell a story, and the only thing she was trying to do was not win, then there deserves to be answers for Australians. I believe that. And for the dance community and for the hip hop community, man, because that's kind of, at the end of the day, breaking is one of the elements of hip hop. And we had an opportunity to represent hip hop at the Olympic Games. Like, that's crazy to think about, like, this thing that started in New York in the 1970s, in the streets of New York in the 1970s, and all of a sudden it's this like global phenomenon, and like literally the most popular movement in the world, the most popular music in the world, the most popular fashion in the world, all has derived from hip hop. And now it's one of the subsections of the culture, one of the elements of the culture is now at the Olympic Games, and she's come out and then just kind of made a joke of it. There deserves to be some answers. So yeah. Anyway, that's my take on the Raygun situation. There are all my thoughts on that. Moving along, I'm going to briefly touch on this. I didn't really mean to speak that long about that. Anyway, the Imane Khelif kind of scenario and, women's bodies in general. So, I've had some conversation with friends. I've had some time to think about this. Now, when the furor and the Karini kind of moment popped off, the world lost their mind. I mean, I suppose everyone who's like a transphobic or kind of like moderate to kind of like right / obviously far right leaning, that they're all just like praying for this moment. They're all just kind of like hoping that and look, I understand why. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that there have been some overreaches. There have been some cancellation and some woke identity politics that have forced people who are moderate or right or far right to kind of like have their voices heard and stand up for their beliefs. I'm not saying they don't have some point. Because I feel like there has been some overreach in certain parts from the left and from the from the woke crowd, I guess you could say. Although like I don't really love that term, but yeah, I can understand why some of these people had some valid kind of like pent up rage. It was not executed in the right way. It was not thoughtful. It was not, maybe it probably wasn't even well-intentioned. Although some of it was well-intentioned. You know, at the end of the day, you know, people don't want to see men beating up women, okay? Now, this was not a case of that. Clearly, we all know the truth. Imane Khelif is a woman. She was born a woman. It was very beautiful to see her win the gold in the end and kind of like, you know, achieve her, you know, dreams and against the backdrop of all this adversity. It was absolutely crazy. What a story. Like, you know, you have the entire world kind of fucking all of a sudden erupting about you, like calling you, you know, horrible things. And then you kind of like push through that and end up achieving a gold medal. Yeah, absolute insanity, overcoming that kind of adversity. Yeah, totally insane. I think the more interesting part to, you know, the kind of more plaguing thing is how quick people were to jump on and call her out and call her trans and call her a man and call her this and that. That was, you know, crazy. And like, don't get me wrong, I almost got caught up in that bullshit as well. Like, it's very easy to get caught up in these kind of like circus fucking moments that you know, the world tends to get caught up in. You know, that these headlines, they come up, they pop up, and they're meant to incite rage. You know, people want divisiveness. You know, the media wants divisiveness. The political elite want divisiveness. It's easier for people to go, hey, what side are you on? What side are you blue or red? Are you left or right? You know, are you with the trans? Are you anti-trans? Are you woke or you know? People want division, and I guess kind of coming out of that moment, really the one thing that is kind of like standing out for me the most is like, let's all take a second. Let's all fucking take a breath. Let's all step back and realize that we are all fucking human. We are all here at this moment in time, experiencing this thing right now called life and existence, and let that be the thing that kind of guides all of our thoughts, feelings, and motivations. There's going to be bad actors, yes. There's going to be people who are going to jump to conclusions, yes. There's going to be people who are going to want to, you know, push an agenda and put other people down and get clicks and, you know, incite outrage. There are going to be people like that, but let's not be one of them. Let's remember that we're all fucking trying our best. If that really was a dude in the middle of that ring beating up on Angela Carini or whatever, then sure, let's really get up in arms and have an issue with that. Let's really do that. But let's fucking realize what we're saying first. Let's do some research. Like, I'm not going to lie, man. I was almost a person who was about to like retweet that shit. Like, oh my God, like, look at this, a dude beating up a woman. But then I caught myself. I Googled it. You know, who is Imane Khelif? I did 20 seconds of research and I found out that, you know, she's just a chick with, you know, higher testosterone levels potentially, not even confirmed. You know, and she just, you know, she has some masculine characteristics. And like, if you're boxing professionally, yeah, you're probably going to have some masculine characteristics. It's not like, you know, chicks wearing like fucking tutus and you know, tiaras are out there fucking with big fake nails are out there like boxing, okay? It's usually chicks who are kind of like into the gym and into getting big and into getting jacked and into fucking punching each other in the head. So it's natural that she's going to have these masculine characteristics. And I think everyone just kind of like lost their heads for a moment there, but that's cool. It's all good. It's going to happen. And it's going to, do you know the thing is, it's going to happen again and it's going to happen again and it's going to happen again. But are we going to learn? Are we going to learn from this moment? Are we going to learn that you can't just like, you know, retweet something, reshare something, and then just like, you know, hope all your information is correct? I think people are, you know, hopefully people learn. That's really all I can hope. Hopefully people can carry a little bit more love in their hearts and a little bit more empathy and gratitude in their hearts. And realize that, you know, the idea of a woman's body is there's no such thing. You know, there is what we think there should be, but there are always going to be outliers. And that's where, unfortunately, I believe Imane Khelif has been caught up in, is this moment as an outlier. And, you know, she stoked international division because people were pissed off. People were sick of, you know, the left versus right, the woke versus, you know, the far right, or, you know, kind of like, yeah, anyway. People are sick of the division, and I get it. I get it. I don't want to be divided. I don't want to be divided from anyone. I don't want to fucking argue about these things. Unless you're a bad person doing bad things, unless you're a bully, unless you're an intentionally bad actor, then I don't want to argue with people, because I've done that before. I've pushed my extreme thoughts and actually kind of like cut people off because they thought particular things, and I just don't want to do that anymore. I'd rather just talk. I'd rather understand. I'd rather communicate. I'd rather be curious. You know, those are way better things to be. Not fucking angry, not inciting hate, not inciting rage. Oh my God, the left, I can't believe they're doing this again. Oh my God, the right, you know, I've had enough. I'm sick of the fighting. Anyway, yeah, I listened to a podcast the other day that made a really good point in terms of Imane Khelif and these like outlier women's bodies and kind of, you know, what is a woman's body? And the point was basically in terms of like the genetic freaks of in the women's sports, you know, they're always going to get compared to men, right? And that makes it really unfair because they, you know, I would imagine if you're a woman, you don't really want to be called a man or compared to a man, right? That kind of makes sense. If you're a man, if you're an outlier, if you're a genetic outlier as a man, like I don't know, Michael Phelps was the example that was used, or a LeBron. If you're a genetic freak outlier, or, you know, Webanyana, then what do you get compared to? Well, you just get put at the top of the pedestal of being a man, and that's a good thing. If you're a man, you kind of just want to get put higher and higher up the pedestal of being a man, and, you know, you wear it as a badge of honor. With women, it's like, really, that's the best you can give me, is to compare me to a man, or tell me that I look like jacked, big as fuck, like a man. And that's what we've done in this moment with Imane Khelif. And I think it's, been highly unfair. So I just really hope that we can, you know, come out of this moment with a little bit more empathy, a little bit more love, and just a little bit more tactfulness when it comes to kind of, you know, finding out news and information, and not being so quick to divisiveness and rage. Tying both of those ideas together, I just want to say this quickly. So in terms of the Raygun thing and the Imane Khelif thing, those two things have been massive, massive stories that have really, you know, dictated podcasts, YouTube, X, themes and threads and content for the last, you know, week or so, even 2 weeks for the Imane Khelif thing. They have really, you know, covered every element of the news cycle as far as where I exist. So I predominantly, I've got this absolutely horrible left shoulder. It gives me so much grief. The sphere that I live in is like X, YouTube, Instagram. I don't really consume anything outside of that. So, you know, I can only speak from where I've been and what I've been consuming. And obviously the algorithms are going to push me things that I've already been watching and seeing. So, you know, take this with a grain of salt. But one thing that I kind of like dawned on me last night is like this Imane Khelif thing, this Raygun thing, they've been massive stories, right? That everyone has touched in, like weighed in on, right? Everyone's had an angle, everyone's had a thought, everyone's had a reaction. What did they have in common, Raygun and Imane Khelif? They're both women, okay? Then it got me kind of thinking. There was these other couple of stories that popped up during the Olympics. One was early on about this guy who was like a convicted child predator or something like that. And the other story was the Aussie hockey player who went and got a bag. You know, in my opinion, sick cunt, whatever. But, you know, those two guys, you know, clearly should have a lot of the spotlight, you know, lots of news stories, lots of backlash, lots of, you know, things being called out about them. But they didn't. And what do they have in common? Well, they're men. So I don't, and look, I don't want to read too far into this, but it is something that I did notice. And if someone wants to kind of critique me on it, I'm absolutely open to it. But all I can see is, all I can talk about is my perspective and my view and what the algorithms had fed me. And what I could see was Imane Khelif, Raygun, women getting talked about profusely on every single channel, all the time, every single angle, every single reaction covered, right? And the two men, the hockey player and this, child sex predator who's at the Olympics, probably bigger stories, I would imagine, barely covered, like one news article and then kind of gone an hour later kind of thing. Now, yeah, again, speculation. I don't necessarily know if this is a truth, but this is my truth and this is what I saw. And just what it kind of got me thinking about was the coverage of men versus women and just how, incredibly divisive things seem to be when we're talking about women, women's rights, women's bodies, women's, mental health, the killing of women by, their male partners, those kinds of things. They bring up these ideas that men are, and you know what, I see both sides of this argument as well. So I'm not like saying that the other side does not have relevance, but I see whenever we're talking about women, it's like, it's almost like, yeah, but what about us? What about the men? And I just, I think people were very quick to pile on with these two stories and not as quick to pile on when it came to, a couple of other stories. So just something I noticed. And if anyone wants to kind of fact check me or call me out on that, please do so below because, I would love to get educated. Moving on to something a little bit more light and beautiful. Now, overall, my thoughts on the Olympics is I don't really give a shit. It's all good. Take it or leave it. I watch bits. I didn't watch other bits. I watched what I could. It's not like, my life is dictated by the Olympics, but there is something interesting and fascinating and revealing about this like global event that almost every country is participates in. It does hold a very special place in the hearts and imaginations of humanity. And for that reason, it at least deserves to be kind of like studied or admired. Is it what it once was? Maybe not, probably doesn't have the same kind of like weight, but it definitely served up a lot of, and I mean a lot of, iconic moments. When you think about the Turkish kind of like shooter rocks up, hitman style, no gear, just kind of takes a silver medal. You had Femke Bol in the 4x400 mixed relay, kind of running down her competition to get the dub for the Netherlands. Shout out Dutch boys and girls and all that. And for me, the most iconic moment and the most beautiful moment was Zhou Yaqin. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Zhou Yaqin was a little Chinese gymnast who got the silver medal. And while they were taking the photos, she goes to bite her, or she looks to the left and she sees her, the other kind of podium, the other medal winners bite their medal for the photos. And then she kind of gets this like look of surprise and she goes, "Oh shit, that's what we're doing? Okay." And then she kind of goes to bite hers, but she doesn't actually bite it. She kind of like just puts it in front of her mouth and like just closes her mouth a little bit and like awkwardly kind of stands there with it in front of her mouth. And man, I'm sure a lot of people have seen that, but I feel like if you haven't, you need to see that. That moment is so beautiful. And the sincerity and the innocence and the beauty of that moment, I feel like that's the kind of thing that we should be talking about. Not the Raygun, not the Imane Khelif negative bullshit. There's so many angles that have, taken over the world, taken over people's imaginations that are divisive and that are, rage-inducing that we should not be paying as much attention to, if any. we should be paying attention to this, the feats of brilliance, Zhou Yaqin, and the cuteness and the innocence of her just looking over, and it was so sweet, man. It was such a sweet moment, and that's what I love about the Olympics. That's what I love about humanity. I love how at the end of the day we're all just human. We're all just trying to put our best foot forward and experience this thing as best we can, and that's what needs to be celebrated. And I can't express enough how much we need to, uplift moments like that way more often, and it's easier to get the clicks and the shares and the retweets and the angles and the comments and the likes and from those, divisive rage-inducing moments. I get it, but come on, man, it's fucking tiring. It's tiring. Let's all laugh. Let's all love. Let's enjoy this shit together, Anyway, that's it for my Olympics wrap up. Moving along, I got a couple more things I want to talk about here, and then I'm going to fucking let y'all go. I want to shout out to Melbourne music, man. So I've been up on the Central Coast, as I said, just chilling with my family. Down in Melbourne, shit is on fire right now in terms of the music scene. So a bunch of my friends, a bunch of local legends have put out music recently, and I just need to give them their flowers right now. So Riverine is one of the bros that I've kind of, built a relationship with. We haven't talked as much recently, but, I still feel like this is a person that, I love, and I actually have so much respect and time for. And it's so funny, the way we were kind of introduced to Riverine was we put it on the Dutch Boys show at the end of 2021 at the Laundry Bar, and we're putting the lineup together, and Ruka goes, hey, I got this guy, Riverine, I want him to come play. I've invited him. And I'm like, all right, cool. No idea who he is. I think he played second on the bill. We had Jailbird, Sage up first, and then I believe Riverine went second. And, we're at a hip-hop show. Everyone else is pretty much rapping. And then you got Riverine comes up and he plugs his electric guitar in, and he just starts shredding and singing and doing all these I don't know, I guess rock, moody kind of, just aesthetic songs. I don't really know what the genre was. But all I can say is I just saw something very, very special in that moment. And I was like, fuck, this dude's pretty cool. And not only that, lovely human. Ended up being someone that would come to a lot of our shows. He'd stand in the front row. He'd vibe out. Just a great dude. Always great to chat to. Beautiful human. Anyway, he put out his album last week. The album is... Oh, fucking hell. I'm really doing this, aren't I? The album's name is... Oh, here we go. Here Now. So he put out this album. Oh, no, there you are. Anyway, he put out this album last week. It's called There You Are. It's about 7 tracks, I think. Or no, 9 tracks. Man, it is just like a soundscape. It is just beautiful. It is moody. It is he's singing, his vocal effects. He's playing all the instruments. It really reminds me of Oliver Tank. If anyone gets that reference, just these beautiful soundscapes that kind of wash back and forth, and great melodies, great songwriting, great instrumentation. He starts it off with a poem, which I fucking love. I love poems. I used to do this shit as well. I used to put poems in my albums and mixtapes. So yeah, I love it. I love what he stands for. I love the fact that he's put this album out, and I know that he'll be feeling really great about himself right now for have done that. So yeah, I just want to shout him out right now. My boy Riverine, go check his album out now. Next, I want to talk about 01 Eka. I already shouted out 01 Eka recently on my Instagram in some short form content, but I just want to do that again. His album Iron Garden is his debut album, and it is raw, it is gritty, it is underground Melbourne hip hop, and it is something that I think you would just, if you're into hip hop, you want to listen to this shit. This kid has a really big future. He's young, he's hungry, and he's doing really cool things as an independent artist, doing things that I'm not seeing a lot of people doing. So yeah, heaps of time for 01 Eka. The album is, it just slaps. A Promised Letter is, I think, track number 5 or 6, and that is my favorite. So go check that out right now. My boy Dressed just put out a new song. It's called Secrets. Poppy, catchy, vibey, heartthrob-esque. Dressed is just one of those names that, you know, he's just going to keep doing this until the wheels fall off. I could just, you know, I love catching up with Dressed. I love seeing what he's doing. He just moves so authentically in everything that he does. And you know, I just got a lot of time for him and his music and the way that he's moving and his team. And yeah, I think there's a lot of really, really great things on the horizon for Dressed. So go check him out. New single Secrets is out now. Another quick couple of shout outs. My boy Legend, Hot and Heavy. Man, this is a banger. Homie had a little time off. Apparently he wasn't doing too well, but it's good to see him back. New song Hot and Heavy is out now. It is just like this. Man, I haven't listened to a lot of music recently, so I'm just like, my descriptive words are really getting lost. But it's like this fun kind of futuristic kind of like, you know, street. You know, it's got some thugging to it. So yeah, go check that out. It's called Hot and Heavy. And last one I want to shout out now is Zach Byrne, Kid Cadu, and 3K Backer just put out a song which the name is Where? ? So yeah, this song is, man, fucking banging beat. Backer always comes hard. You know, one of the best kind of like untapped producers in Melbourne at the moment, in my opinion. And then Zach Byrne and Kid Cadu, man. Zach Byrne I got on the Buggin' Cypher, and he's someone whose bars I just absolutely love. Watch out for this kid. Absolute savage when it comes to the bars. Like, you know, the multi-rhymes, the multi-syllabolic rhymes, and the you know, the metaphors and the double entendres. Like this kid really has a hectic pen. And you look at the motherfucker and you're like, what is Chuck E. Cheese doing here? I mean, I don't even know who Chuck E. Cheese is, but he just like, he doesn't look like he's, you know, shredding the way that he does. But you know what? He steps up there and, you know, pen game hectic, his spits hectic, performs crazy. Yeah, Zach Byrne, got a lot of time for him, and he's fucking, you know, his bro Kid Cadu, bars on bars. Like these two just go back and forward. It is heavy, it is hectic, and that is called Where. So go check that out. Anyway, that's shouting out all the Melbourne music homies because, you know, that's just what I do. Last but not least, on this fucking little rant of mine, I've been going for goddamn 47 minutes. Who knew? Last thing I want to do is preview UFC305, which is in Perth this weekend. And boy, is it a stacked card. Now, I think it was kind of lacking like a really, really big kind of like co-main. You know, personally, I think the Kai Kara versus Steve Erceg should have been the feature fight. That's just my opinion. Now, yeah, it would have been like really dope with like a really solid kind of middleweight or lightweight bout there, like a contender bout, or like maybe even another belt. 5-rounder would have been nice as a co-main. Either way, I'm happy with this lineup. I'm excited for this lineup. There's a lot of like great storylines, you know. I'm going to rattle a few of them off now, like Jack Jenkins coming back from 11-month layoff after dislocating his elbow in Perth last year against Chepe Mariscal. I'm super excited for Jack to come back. Jack to come back. Wickety whack. You ain't that. You ain't Matt. You ain't got the rap. Hey, still got it, boys and girls. So yeah. Super excited for Jack to come back. I just know how, I don't know, but I can see how hard he's been training. I know how bad he wants it. And he's just so dialed in. Like this man is an absolute professional, and he always has been. Like, you know, I've been kind of watching and seeing his climb from you know, from a distance for a few years now, and just the way that he's always presented himself and carried himself as a human being, as a professional mixed martial artist, you know, has just been top shelf, really. And, you know, I think he's going to continue that this weekend against Mr. Burns there. I think he's going to get the dub. I think he's going to get back on track, you know, move that record back to 3-1 and really, really start to make some inroads in that lightweight division, I believe, or featherweight. Anyway, another couple of, you know, storylines that I'm looking out for. Dan, the Hangman Hooker, coming back after a bit of a layoff. And then Tai Tuivasa on like a 3 or 4 fight losing streak. And then Kai Kara France on a 2-fight losing streak. I just want all of these guys to win. Like, probably not Kai. I want Steve Erceg to win. But you know, I like Tai Tuivasa. I really want him to beat Rosenstrike. Obviously, I want Erceg to beat Kai Kara, but you know, I do like Kai Kara. Really, there's a lot to like about him, and like I fucking love Hangman Hooker. I think that guy is such a lad and just a funny bloke. And you know, the video of him throwing his drink at someone at the footy the other day, like just kind of demonstrates what kind of a loose unit he is. And I really hope he can get the dub this weekend against Matthias Gamrot. As for the main event, I'm so split on this. I really am. I keep tossing it up both ways because I see it playing. I see either of these playing out. The way that Dricus carries himself, his energy, his aura, his confidence, and his all-round skill set as a mixed martial artist, like the wrestling crazy, the intensity crazy, the kind of like, you know, dynamic striking crazy. Like you don't know when he could drop you from any angle at any moment. Just, you know, is the kind of like power that he possesses. He's just when I think about mixed martial artists, I think Dricus du Plessis because he's just such a savage everywhere. You know, the ground and pound from the bottom, on the ground. You know, the wrestling, the intense kind of like pressure, like the unpredictability, the explosiveness in the striking. He's just such a well-rounded mixed martial artist, and I just think he is so confident and sturdy in his belief that he's going to be a champ for a really long time. And it is hard to see that not happening. Like I see his confidence, I see his aura, I see the way he carries himself, and I believe it. I see it. Like I see this guy being really dominant for a really long period of time. Just because he is so well-rounded and so strong and so physical and so energetic and has so much confidence. Like, yeah, there's a lot to like about DDP. I think he carries himself really well. Like, I think he represents himself as a champion really well. I don't know. He's very marketable, speaks really well. There's a fucking lot to like about DDP, to be honest. You know, there's a lot to like. Now, on the other side of the equation, Israel Adesanya is a once-in-a-generation striker and martial artist. Martial arts IQ is insane. When he is switched on, he is one of the most lethal strikers to ever enter the octagon. Now, if he comes with a game plan, if he comes switched on, I think he makes this one of the most insane main events ever, because both of these guys are going to test each other. I think Dricus is going to come forward, and I think Izzy is going to be very thoughtful with his shot selections, but also very crafty. And I think he can catch Dricus a few times. Now, Dricus is going to have different tools that he's going to implement, and I think if Izzy has a really good game plan and he's really smart and he's switched on, I think I see a path for him getting it done. I really do, just because of his range, his skill set as a striker. He really is fucking incredible. So yeah. And the thing is, he's had this layoff, he's had this time to reset mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. And with him coming back with the time off and a game plan, I think it is just going to be such a tightly contested main event. And I really can't split them. You know, you can't knock Izzy's legacy. You can't knock, like, I rate Robert Whittaker so highly, and you know, Izzy beat him twice. Once very significantly. Second time, you know, it was a bit more contested, but he's beaten Robert Whittaker twice. Now, Dricus did beat him, you know, pretty easily as well, but you know, Izzy's record is just so good, man. He's beaten so many high-level fighters over such a long period of time, and his run was just one of the best in middleweight history. So, you know, you can't knock his class. You can't knock his skill set, and you can't knock his belief in himself. He believes in himself as much as Dricus believes in himself. right? And so when you have these two powerhouses, these guys who are just so confident and so ready for war, I mean, it could go either way. And I'm actually not ready to pick. I think gun to my head, if someone asked me to pick someone, I'd go Dricus because he has more tools and he has, the momentum. And I just see something in his aura that has, long-term world champ written all over it. And there's a confidence there that I really like. So, gun to my head, if I had to pick someone, I'd go Dricus, but this could be an insane main event. Either way, I just really want all the Aussies. I really want everyone to do well, but I really want the Aussies to come out on top. Tom Nolan, Koulibaly, who am I missing? Junior Tafa. I really want Farjak, obviously, but I just really want all the Aussies to just come out on top and just this to be a really, really successful main of UFC pay-per-view where we get to see all the Aussies get back on track and really start to set their sights on the top of their divisions. It could be really cool. Either way, super looking forward to it. UFC305 coming up this weekend in Perth. Let me know your thoughts below. So yeah, this has been a crazy mixed bag podcast. If you've listened to me this entire time, fucking well done. I'm so jacked up and I can't believe I've just spoke just riffed on this the entire time. Well done to me. Thank you for tuning in, to you. If you have any thoughts, questions, comments, or concerns on any of the things that I've touched on today, please let me know. If you have not subscribed to my podcast, please do that. I'm going to be coming back with a little bit more consistency and intention with my episodes very soon. Just while I'm in this little transitionary phase, I'm moving back to Melbourne in the next couple of weeks, and it's a bit hard to kind of plan things and get things ready. But I'm going to be doing my best. But yeah, basically, bottom line is, the Sav Show ain't going anywhere, and I've got a lot of really cool things planned for the rest of this year and going into 2025. So yeah, please subscribe. Please like and subscribe. Let me know what you think. And yeah, I'll catch you next week on the Sav Show. Let's go.